Okay, so our topic tonight is creating an action plan. Now, what is that action plan? There's a couple of things that we're going to cover tonight. We're going to cover the skills that are needed. Okay, we're going to talk about the reasons why that you're doing this business. We're going to talk about your goals and what that action plan actually is and how you're going to accomplish those goals. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover tonight as we move forward, and we're going to be done when we're done. Okay, I'm excited for you guys to see some of this. First time I trained this was probably 7 or 8 years ago, and it was actually for a friend in another organization. Him and I were not in the same company, and he came to one of our events. He saw that and he goes, "Can you be a guest speaker? I don't want you to to talk about anything else, but just that concept of that action plan, that getting somebody going, right?" So the first thing that I want to cover to you is talk to you about skills. Okay, what are skills? First thing that you need to know: skills are learnable, they're teachable, and they're duplicatable. So skills are learnable, teachable, and duplicatable. So that means you can learn the skills necessary, you can teach the skills necessary, and that creates duplication into your organization. So you don't have to be the one doing everything. Okay? The first skill that we're going to talk about is recruiting. The second skill is getting people started. So let's talk about the first skill, recruiting. What is recruiting? Think about that. When we talk about recruiting or recruiters, the first thing that people kind of do is I'm not a recruiter, I'm not a salesman. No. Let's clarify a couple of things. Recruiting is an incredibly high-paying skill, okay? And politicians do it. They try to recruit you to vote for them, recruit you to this party, recruit you to that party, recruit you for this law, recruit you for that law. And this happens all the way down from a national level, all the way up from a national level down to a local level. Okay? Businesses recruit. How do you think companies, like Apple and Microsoft and all these massive organizations, Walmart, they want to go after some of the best people out there. Sports teams recruit. Think about what free agency is, okay? What is the draft in Major League Sports? They want to recruit the cream of the crop. Okay, religions recruit. They call this missionaries, They want to go. Recruiting is a part of our everyday life, whether we like to believe it or not. So if we can get past that, we understand that recruiting is an incredibly high-paying skill. But think about this. Do businesses go out and post an ad? If Apple wants a new CEO, do they post an ad, CEO wanted? No, they filter through that. They have qualifications, they have years of experience, so they don't do their own screening. What about sports teams? The professional sports teams go out and recruit, by posting an ad, or Facebook, or walking around the mall and say, "Hey guys, here's a flyer, here's my business card. If you're looking to play quarterback for our team, and we'll pay you $10 million a year to do that, and hopefully we can make the playoffs." Is that how the general managers and owners of major league sports teams, recruit for quarterbacks or whoever? No. They go to combines. They go to the draft. They go to the players that actually want to play. They look at the cream of the crop. They don't go and recruit people out of 7th grade. They let the high schools scout 7th grade basketball and sports games. The colleges don't go and scout 7th grade. They let the high schools do that. Then colleges go and scout the high schools, not the pro teams. Pro teams don't go and scout the high schools. So that sifting and sorting process, the skill of recruiting is you don't need to do your own screening, okay? And that's why it's a skill. It's not just, let's go and talk to everybody that we know, whoever can fog a mirror. Okay? The second skill is getting people started. That is what we're here to talk about tonight. And getting somebody started, and how that works is creating somebody's action plan. And that action plan is what we're going to cover, okay? Because when you get somebody started, what you want to do is literally take that dream and transmit it into their reality. Okay. The biggest thing that you want to do when getting somebody started is bring out that dream in somebody. And how do you transfer that dream, that passion, that desire, that want? How do you get that into a reality? It's by creating an action plan. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is create 5 compelling reasons why they're doing the business. You're going to want to sit down with that person and you're going to want to find out what it is that they want. Why are they doing the business? Why are they participating in growing with you? Okay. It's not just that they're a customer. Why did they sign up? That's going to be because they want to go out and travel the world more. They want to be able to hunt more. They want to be able to enjoy more times in the outdoors more. They want to be able to, go snowmobiling or sledding more. They want to go and do the junky adrenaline things, camp more. They want to kill more bull elk. They want to, go on cruises. They want to do the things that they want to do, right? So our product line has a lot of variety of things that they want to do, but the number one thing you're going to want to do is sit down with that person and find out 4 or 5 compelling reasons why they're doing it. Those reasons are what's going to compel that person to action. That's what's going to transfer from this dream into a reality. That's what's going to get them to get off the couch. That's what's going to get them to make the contacts, make the phone calls, right? Rather than, and I'm guilty of this. How many of you have done this? You've signed somebody up, and 4 or 5 months later, nothing's happened. They haven't sponsored anybody. Maybe they've come to some meetings, maybe they haven't. And you pick up the phone and you call them and you say, "Hey, pal, buddy, what can I do to help you?" We're all victims of it, right? We're all victims of it, right? If that happens, we've blown it and screwed up twice. The first thing that we screwed up on is we don't know what their reasons of doing the business are. We don't know why they're even doing it. We don't know their dream. We don't know their goals. And the second thing that we've screwed up on and we failed if that happens is we haven't actually created an action plan to get it, to make it into a reality. Okay? So that's why what we're talking about tonight is so vital. Because when you create those 4, 5, 6 compelling reasons, email them to the upline, text them, put them, in a group text message. You want to be able to hold your teams accountable for when they get signed up. Okay. And that's why you want to create that deadline. Okay. When do you want this dream, these compelling reasons of why you're doing the business? That can be spending more time with the kids. That can be going on these hunts. That can be making more money. That can be getting out of debt. That can be so I can spend more time in the outdoors. That can be so I can, whatever that goal, reason, vision, that dream is, put a deadline on it. Because when you put a deadline on it, that's what transfers it from just a mere dream into a goal. And that is where the Fast Start Guide picks up. That's where now the Fast Start Guide takes over and takes that goal. Here's some goals that we're going to give you. Go U31, go U33. Here's a timeline. Here's how many people you need. And that's where the comp plan, goes into that. Obviously, they want to build a business, so some sort of goal is going to be acquired. But then you're going to have other goals. Right? When I got started into this, my upline sat down with me and what were your 5 compelling reasons? And I said, man, I'm going to do anything short of robbing banks so that I can have a stay-at-home mom and a stay-at-home dad. I wanted to be at home and raise my kids rather than a babysitter or a daycare. And that was what I was passionate about. Maybe you're passionate about something else, but I was passionate about not having to go to work every day, having that time, raising my kids from home, me and my wife together. That was my dream. And I was going to do whatever it took to do it, falling short of robbing banks and murder. Okay? So with that, that was how my support team knew that. So they kept me on course. They kept me on pace. They kept me on track. And we mapped it out. We created a game plan of what that entailed financial money wise, so that my wife and I could be able to do that. Okay. And that's where goals come into place. You want to create short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals. Okay. The Fast Start Guide talks you through this. Okay. What are the goals that you're doing in your relationships? What are your goals that you're doing in your physical life? Maybe it's exercise, or if it's eating right. Maybe it's, what are the goals in your business? What are goals in your family? What are those things? Short term, mid term, and long term. And clearly identify those. I remember sitting down with a kid years ago, and he was like 19, 20 years old. And I said, what are some of your goals? And his goal was like, he wanted to make $20,000 a month. That is a fantastic goal. And we started to create the deadline, right? What's the deadline? And that deadline for him was about 6 months. Well, I'm not here to shatter anybody's goals, but is that realistic based upon your credibility, your influence, your work ethic? Have you ever made that kind of money before? And so that short-term goal might be more of a long-term goal for that individual. So we had to rework that game plan and kind of bring it more down to a realistic objective, right? So understand that that's what we're doing with the Fast Start Guide, okay, is creating those action plans and those goals so you have clear objectives, okay? A lot of times when you get derailed, you're like a train track. What if the train gets off the track? You're derailed. You get a speed bump. If we're not focused on the goal, we're so much enthralled with what's in front of us, right? With what that speed bump, that obstacle, that problem. What is that problem that's a super problem in your life that you have to overcome, get around, get past? And that's why goals and dreams and visions are so important to the business. Number one thing you need to do, okay, when you're sitting down, is you need to treat this like a business, and it will pay you like a business. Okay, treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business. Number two is follow the system. What is the system? It's the ALL7 system. ALeisureLife.com/ALL7 system. 7 numeral 7. And you've got your Fast Start Guide, you've got your tools, you've got that roadmap to work it. Number three is be coachable. Those three things were said to me when I was brand new, and here I was, young, getting started in my professional business career. I had no business being in business, and my support team said, Kaysen, if you treat it like a business, it'll pay you like a business. If you're coachable to what we're telling you, and you follow the system, they said, we will take financial responsibility for the result. Now, that is a massive promise. That is a massive promise. But you see, think about that. If you work the system and you treat it like a business, now there's not going to be any objectives of, well, if I don't hit my goal, then the business must not work. No, because that would be like if you started a real estate company and you never went out and got contacts. You never went out and got listings. You never went out and got buyers. Does that all of a sudden make the whole company's doesn't work? Or does that have anything to do with how the compensation plan works? No, it has to do with following the system and being coachable to that system. Okay? Once you've created those goals, now they're clearly defined dreams with a deadline. That deadline converts it into a goal. That goal now creates an action plan. How do we create this action plan for you to go out and make that lifestyle, that dream, that vision, those goals a reality? Okay? This is now the action plan. You're going to break it down, and this is where the skills come in, the ALL7. What that means, the ALL7 is on purpose and by design. The leadership team created this. It wasn't let's just go and copy this or copy that. It was on purpose and by design. What are the 7 skills that people need to learn to do and to create the lifestyle that they want? What are we going to teach people? The first one is to Create goals. Define your goals. Well, we've talked about that. The second one is going to be create a list. So now you've created a list. What type of list? This action plan all begins with a list. Okay, here's 5 things that you're seeing that are huge in creating that list. You want to categorize that list. You're going to want to create 3 to 5 different groups, 3 to 5 different lists. People that you go to work with, that's one type of group. People that you go to church with, that's another type of group. Friends, relatives, family members, that's another type of group. Community contacts. Maybe you have a business or just out into the community, and you know them that way in the community. That's another list. What about a product list? You just want to approach them with the discount hunts. You just want to approach them with the discount fishing trips. You just want to approach them with the discount cruises or the merchandising. Just your product list. Another list would be your business list. Who do you want to approach with the business list? A tax savings list. Who has a 9-to-5 job that they work an hourly wage, get paid an hourly wage, or they're paid salary? Who has a W-2? That you want to create that list and talk to those people specifically with the tax advantage approach. Okay. But let me focus on the business list, because this is where you're going to create massive duplication and massive amounts of success. Okay. There's 5 things that you're going to want to look for in people. Remember, we talked about recruiting. You don't need to do your own screening. So how do you stack the deck into your favor? You don't just go and post an ad on Facebook or pass out business cards and let anybody you just come for your business. That's one way to get people, and that's fine. I'm talking about how do you stack the deck to become an excellent recruiter so that the people that you're recruiting are going to build the business with you. Okay? Number 1 is that they're coachable. Look at their track record. Do they have a track record of coachability, or do they try to reinvent the wheel, or they try to do it themselves, or they don't ever want to accept help from anybody else? Look, number 2 is, are they reliable? One of the biggest things that I've dealt with over the years from thousands of people that have come into my organization, I've talked with them and they say, I called this person, I invited 7 people to come to the meeting and none of them showed up. Well, let's look at their reliability track record. Do they do what they say they're going to do? One of the biggest causes of frustration that you'll encounter is just flat out talking to unreliable people. Unreliable people. They'll drive you up the wall. They'll drive you bonkers. It'll cause you all sorts of frustration, and that frustration will derail you from your goal, and you'll never make it a reality and live the lifestyle of your dreams because you let somebody else derail you from your goal and your vision. Why? Because you invited somebody who's unreliable. You spend 6 months recruiting a procrastinator, and they procrastinate to get going. They procrastinate to create a game plan. They procrastinate to come to a meeting. And you're wondering why. No, don't wonder why. Here's why. They're just unreliable. So you want to contact reliable people. Number 3 is good people skills. Who have good people skills, good communication skills, good phone skills already? Think about real estate agents. Think about mortgage brokers, insurance salesmen, people that are already used to communicating with people on a daily basis. They're inherently already good. They're already doing these things every day. Okay? That way, it'll shorten your learning curve. You don't have to go out and teach them now how to communicate. You don't have to teach them how to interact with people, how to be lively, and how to be friendly, right? Number 4 is credibility and influence. If you want to move fast, recruit people with high levels of credibility and influence. What that means is, think about somebody with a doctor versus a nurse. Now, here's the example. If the doctor says, hey, honey, I recruited the nurse today while I was at work. Well, that's cool. The prestige level, the doctor is higher up in the prestige level, social status, than the nurse. Okay, it's a perceived thing. But what happens when the nurse comes home and says, honey, I recruited the doctor today. See, the doctor has far more prestige level than the nurse. So the credibility's there. That's the influence. You want to move fast in your organization, recruit people with high levels of credibility and influence. And the last one is, or 5, recruit people that are highly industrious, people with heart, people with a good track record, okay? People with a dream, with a burn in their heart to succeed. In my opinion, which of the 5 is the most important? That one, right there, right there. See, I can take somebody who's not sharp, and I can, make them look sharp. I can teach them people skills. I can put them in front of a room. I can make them look good and talk good and smell good, right? The system will do that. You'll get people that'll start to do that. One thing that you can't do is you can't instill a dream in somebody's heart. You can't put a vision in their mind. You can't give them that work ethic if they don't got it. See, in horse breeding, you can breed for size, you can breed for color. You can't breed for heart, just pure grit. In dogs, you the same thing. You can breed for size, for color, for, you want long hair, curly hair, short nose, long nose, big tail, no tail. You can't breed for heart. Industrious. That means that person, they might be making $10,000 to $10 million, but they're staying up at night thinking, man, how do I work half as many hours and double the money I'm making? That's the person that, their track record. They might be working 3 jobs, 4 jobs. They're just hard workers. What about that person that, they might be a stay-at-home mom today, but yet when, they were a babysitter when they were 13, and they were the best darn babysitter. They raised, 7 kids better than most people could raise 1. That's your action plan, where it all starts is creating that list. Okay? It's one of the most viable resources that you're going to have. Then how you execute that is you want to create, with that list, you're going to want to contact and invite those people. You're going to want to present to them. You're going to want to follow up, with those people. This is the pattern, right? How you execute your action plan is by following the pattern. Notice that these are the first 5 steps in the ALL7 system. Define your goals. Make a list. Contact and invite. Present and follow up. The only 2 other skills are getting started, which is what we're talking about how to do tonight, and then promote. And what is promotion? Promoting the events, the calls, the trainings, the local meetings, promoting your upline and the leaders, promoting the product, promoting the next thing. All of those are the 7 skills. But the pattern are the 4 right in the middle. Make a list, contact, present, follow up. And you rotate that pattern. You sign some of your people up and you rotate the pattern. You define a dream with them and you make their list. You contact the list, you present to the list, and you follow up. And then you get those people started and you rotate the pattern. And you keep going through that cycle over and over and over again. Once you've created that action plan and you do it, you implement it, that is what changes that dream from a goal into a reality, and you live it. That's what creates the lifestyle that you want to have. That's what allows you to go out and hunt more, fish more, take more vacations. That's what allows you to make the $400, make the $1,000, make the $2,000, $10,000, $30,000, $50,000, whatever the number. That's what allows you to create that lifestyle. So when I was brand new, I had my support team I didn't know this is what they were doing. This is the systematic approach of what they were doing with me. It wasn't just go do this. They physically sat down and did it with me. They knew my goals. Few years down the road, and I'm getting frustrated. I go to a meeting and nobody shows up. I make a phone call and nobody answers. They don't return a phone call. The business isn't growing. My checks aren't what they want, what I wanted them to be. And I would call my support team and I'd say, hey, man, I'm feeling down and out. I don't know if this is ever going to work for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to succeed. It's taken too long. And my support team, what would they do? Think about that. Would they just say, well, keep doing what you're doing? Maybe. But what good is that if I'm not doing and following the system? My support team, every time I was frustrated, every time I was down and out, every time I got, derailed, what did they do? They brought me back to the dream. Remember the goal. What's your vision? Why are we doing this? I remember I wanted to quit. This ain't for me. Wanted to give up. And my support team gets on the phone with me and said, remember when you said that you and Jeanette were willing to do whatever it took to be able to raise those kids as a stay-at-home mom and a stay-at-home dad? Are you willing to do that? Or was that just, you don't want that anymore? You don't want that lifestyle of being able to be free anymore. You don't want to raise your kids as a husband and wife, or you want somebody else to raise your kids. See, that was my goal. That was my dream. That was what was so important to me. Maybe your goal is you want to hunt more. Maybe your goal is you want to travel the world more. Maybe your goal is you want to make $5,000 a month, $20,000 a month, whatever the number is. What is it for you that's your compelling reasons? Because see, I was not willing to give up on having me and Jeanette be a stay-at-home mom and dad. I could quit on eating potato chips. I could give up on that. I could quit football and fantasy football league. I could quit playing basketball. I could quit being whatever, but I was not gonna quit on working for me and my wife to be stay-at-home mom and stay-at-home dads and have enough money to sustain the lifestyle indefinitely. I was not willing to give up and quit on that. That's what the action plan is. It's a simple process. So what we're doing as we close and wrap this up tonight, the ALL7 system, it teaches you to develop the right skills, creating the right skills, have the right attitude from the beginning, okay? Implement the right strategies. If you develop the right skills, you have the right attitude, and you're doing the right strategies, implementing those strategies, that's what makes all of this work, okay? It's like baking a cake. You can have all the pristine ingredients, have all the right stuff, but you know what you got? Nothing more than the ingredients. That's like having the skill set. You've got all the skills in the world, but you haven't done anything with it yet. Well, what about mixing those ingredients into the bowl? You get your eggs or you get your milk. Is it water? Preheat the oven to what? All those things are strategy. See, I guarantee it right now. Any basic cook, you can go to the store and buy yourself a funfetti cake mix for $1. And if you don't follow directions, you're probably going to screw it up. What do I mean by that? I mean, it comes in a powder. Well, do you put eggs in it, or is it you just add milk? Well, maybe if you add water. What if you preheat the oven to 250, not 350? Well, maybe it's 400. Maybe it's 275. Do you cook it for 10 minutes? Do you cook it for an hour? You see all these little tiny nuances that have everything to do with a system. You can have the right skills. You got to have the right attitudes and develop the right mindset. Then you've got to implement the strategy. Do you add eggs to it or what? Once you take all those pristine ingredients for that #1 cake, best cake in the world. You mix all of those things together. Now what do you've got? You still only have cake batter. You don't have the cake yet. So do you see all these pieces start coming together? And once you put that cake in the oven, let it bake. So you put people in the oven. You put people into the system. You plug them into the ALL7 website. You plug them into and subscribe them to the newsletter. You plug them in. Make sure that they're getting text messages and they're joining the Facebook group. You plug them into the events. You make sure that your team knows it, knows about what events are there. You make sure that they're following the action plan. They're following the system, the getting started process. You make sure that you're plugging people into that. And when you're doing that, let the cake bake. It might take you 3 months. It might take you 6 months. It might take you a year. It might take you 2 years. But I can promise you this, okay? Once you come out, the finished product is going to be the final result. And that's your reality. Take your dream. Create a deadline. It becomes a goal. That goal helps you establish an action plan. That's working the system. That's your action plan. And when you work that action plan long enough, you're promised the victory, which is your reality. That's the result. People give up too soon. What happens if you take that cake out of the oven and it needs to cook for 20 minutes and you take it out at 10 minutes? Is the middle going to be soggy? Is it going to be where you want it to be? No. So you got to keep plugging in. If you're doing the right things, you keep going. That is what brings all of this together so that you create the lifestyle that you want. That's where you can turn around and say, man, is that all it took? Was 3 measly years. Think about it. 3 years to go out and generate a 10,000, a 20,000, a 50,000 a month income? Is that all it took? And you're living the lifestyle of your dreams. You've upgraded your cars, you've upgraded your furniture, you've paid off that debt. Maybe a little while later you paid off, the home. You upgraded the home, you got a little bit more space, you're living the lifestyle of your dreams. And then one day you decide, I'm no longer going to work my job anymore. And you walk out of that job, not because you hate it or because whatever. You walk out of it because you don't need it, because your business is so successful. How do you put a price tag on that? That you're debt-free, you're living the lifestyle of your dreams because you followed the system. And it typically only takes you between 1 to 3 years to establish the right people, and about 3 to 5 years until you can create that asset where you can completely walk away and live off it for the rest of your life. That's what we're doing here. We're creating that expectation. Okay? What is it that you expect to do? What is it that you want to do? Okay? When you hold your team accountable, you can create an amazing lifestyle. You guys, thanks so much for being on this webinar tonight and walking us through on creating an action plan. We'll see you around the different events that we do around the country. Thank you so much.